Hi, I'm Rebecca Fishkin with Clarity and Authenticity Coaching. Today, we are talking about how some end of day rituals. So, from the time that you stop working, so that you can have a more successful sleep at night. Sound like a plan?
Yeah,
What do you have, Emma? How to start us off?
sure. So I'm Emma Mitchell with Rosa Joy. I'm an energy healing guide. The first thing I want to talk about is because we've talked about all these things we can do during the day to eliminate stress and burnout and feel good. The first thing we're going to talk about is wrapping up your workday. So when we're talking about wrapping up a workday, the last thing you want to do is write down at least three priorities for your next day. And maybe even go back to your to-do list and check things off if you haven't already. So that's really helpful to set yourself up to come back to work the next day and know exactly what you're going to need to be doing. That's also going to eliminate that monkey mind chatter that we tend to get when we're anxious in bed because you already know, you already have written it down. You don't need to remember to do whatever the thing is. So that's a good, wrap up thing. For me personally, I try to not be on the computer after 7 p.m. I've just noticed that and I try to go to bed around 10:30. If I'm in bed at that time, then I'm not able to fall asleep if I've been on the computer later than that. I guess it's the black light or the blue light that ends up just causing my brain to just keep going. Also, I don't check my email after a certain time. And I try to not be on my phone after 8:30 p.m. So whether that's texting somebody back or looking at anything, and know what's on my calendar for the next day ahead of time. So I'm setting my alarm and knowing I need to be up by a certain time that's maybe different than my normal time to be up. Rebecca, I know you have several here.
Yeah, so I like everything that you're saying. And following up with that, one of the things that I have an iPhone and I have my phone to automatically go into do not disturb mode at 6:30, and then it comes back on at 8:30 in the morning. So there's emergency contact. So if my mom or my brother or a family member or my husband does want to get in touch with me after 6:30, it'll still go through. However, I don't, I, that way I can then be present for myself, present with my husband, or if we're with friends with dinner, I do not have my phone at the table with us. I want to be present and focused on that. Um, I also do something similar with the priorities for the next day. I also, just prior to that, I write down what are my 5 wins for the day, so that we all have crappy days and we lose sight of the things that we do well. And when we focus on the things that did go well, it helps us to stop ruminating on the things that didn't. So we can give ourselves the win, the pat on the back, the little jolt of, yeah, did go well. One of my missions in life is to make a difference in someone's life every day. So I also I made a difference in somebody, and I write down someone's name. Um, so I add that to the end of day ritual as well. So that kind of gets us to the point that, okay, so we're now disengaged and we're now focusing on like what's next. So meals. I try really hard to not eat or drink anything after 7, because how many times people get up in the middle of the night because they have to go to the restroom and then they can't go back to sleep again, right? Sorry if that's inappropriate, but it's real. So um, that's something that helps me get a better night's sleep, is not having reasons to get up in the middle of the night. So is there anything that you would add to that?
Yes, and I do want to point out I love that you try to make a difference in somebody's day every day and write that down. really inspirational to me to think about that. So for me, winding down, I like the concept of it. I don't often do it, but yoga or gentle stretching at night is really good for winding down. Doing a calm activity. So sometimes I'll do a puzzle. If I have a Lego set, I'll do that sometimes, or a craft or paint or something like that. I don't always. So don't try to come over to my house one night and be like, "What are you doing? You're being lazy." A lot of times I do just watch TV, and I know that's not the best thing to do, but sometimes I have to get out of my own head and just have that quiet or, of an activity or just, watch a show that I enjoy. Many times I'm cooking at night, and so that's a good thing for me to go from in between working to an activity that I enjoy that kind of is meditative in a way for me. Another thing to mention here is you don't want to do rigorous activity right before you go to bed. Like you said, you don't want to eat or drink things right before bed. I call them dairy dreams. Like my boyfriend loves to eat ice cream right before bed. But if I eat ice cream or something dairy, like cheese or whatever, I seriously have dairy dreams and they're terrible. They're like terrible nightmares. So I try to not do that. Obviously, drinking alcohol isn't so good for a good night's sleep either. That makes me wake up so much, and I know other people have had that too. So just thinking about what can you do that's good for your soul or good for you for relaxation and is not going to get you all spun up and in a frenzy or make your body feel like you're, agitated again. Exercise, doing hard problem solving, doing something that's really a frustrating project, those are not good things to do right before bed. I mean, it's a wind down routine, right? Like these are the things that we want to be doing that make you feel relaxed and like, oh, I'm ready for bed now. I'm sleepy. So,
Yeah,
do you want to start us off with talking about what to do when you get into bed?
sure. Before I do that, though, one thing that I was thinking about is that the two of us have the pleasure of working from home. There are those people who don't work from home and work. And so part of that transition, so you talked about cooking is your transition. I've had as much as an hour and a half commute, and I many times would just turn the radio off and just have silence. And especially now, we also have our phones, so we can be talking on the phone the whole time or listening to whatever music we want or a podcast or whatever, a book. That's great. But sometimes part of that transition is just having that peace and quiet so that you can be better present for the people at home when you get home or your dog, whatever. So, anyway, since you talked about cooking as a transition, it made me think about that. Um, so getting to bed, first of all, every day, doesn't matter if it's a work day, a weekend, a day off, always get into bed around the same time, give or take 15, 20 minutes, but really shoot for the same time every day. That helps to set your circadian rhythm, which is what helps reset things so that we can go to sleep and sleep the time that we want to sleep. Um, I have a process that I go through when I first get into bed. There's the whole bathroom routine. We don't need to go into all of that. However, I do write those wins and my gratitude um, as I'm sitting next to the bed, because that way, um, and when I put the three things that are my priorities for the next day, that gives me peace when I turn out the light. Um, I will say no TV. My husband will sit and watch videos on his iPad no matter how much I tell him not to. So when I say no TV, I mean no, technically, we shouldn't have any screens in our room at all. I do use a Kindle, which has a very good blue light blocker um, that I use to read. And I use a dark font, so it's not bright. Um, but he's got these things that are flashing, and all of that flashing on TV and videos and so forth, whether it's on a pad or a TV, keeps your brain stimulated, um, which means that it's going to be a lot harder for you to fall asleep. Um, So those are some of the things that I use to get started. And then I think both Emma and I have some other things that help calm and bring our heart rate down as well. I do sometimes I might play a little solitaire because that's brainless. Um, However, when the light goes out, that's when I start doing some of the things that I've been doing for a very long time. One is I started doing this things in alphabetical order. So I started, I think, with cereal boxes, like the names of cereals, um, listing them in alphabetical order or the parts of a car. And very rarely would I get to Z, which is good because there aren't a lot of cereal, there aren't a lot of words at all that start with Z. So, but it might be cities in the United States. Like just think of a whole bunch of ways that you can be creative with that. It kind of is another way of counting sheep, but it's a little bit more creative because I don't know, I found it meditative. Um, so then there are some meditative things as we just talked about. So Emma's got some good meditation for that.
Yeah, and I did want to mention before we get into that, I heard a while ago that speaking of electronics in the bedroom, our brains are wired from before we had electronics to at dusk start actually amping up, like as the sun was going down, because that's the time to be alert and start setting up camp or, getting things ready and arranged. And so apparently, and I don't know where I heard this or found this, but apparently when we turn off an electronic, our brains automatically switch on like now it's time to do this and anxiety and all these things. So it's a very old, if you say like lizard brain part of us. So that's why when you turn off an electronic, you're not going to sleep. You're actually getting geared up for something new. So that's really an interesting thing, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I wanted to mention too, you're talking about, counting sheep and your gratitude. I heard this a long time ago of using a gratitude rock. So something like this, just finding a rock that you enjoy. And when you're going to bed, think of either like three good things that happened to you. If you've already written it down, and then really saying thank you for whatever the best thing was that happened to you and holding on to the rock. In me being an energy healer, I can tell you that good energy goes into that rock. So every time you hold that rock, you are feeling those good vibes, the positivity, and the more you put in, the better the rock is. And it really does give you this almost a routine of I'll hold the rock and I'll feel good. And when I lived by myself, I would do that. And sometimes I would fall asleep holding the rock, which I think is kind of cool. And I'd wake up like, oh, I'm still holding on to this. But I do think there's something to that. And I've also recently started counting my blessings. And it's so silly. I never really understood, like, why do people say counting your blessings? And now I understand because I'm like saying all the things I'm grateful for as I'm laying in bed, and I'll fall asleep before I'm done with the list. And the list is so long, right? Like food, water, shelter, our animals, our loved ones, our family members, our friends, our jobs, making difference in people's lives, health. There's so many things we can be grateful for that the list can go on forever. And hopefully you'll fall asleep saying that list.
Maybe you could do it in alphabetical order.
Yeah. Oh gosh. That would spin me up. Yeah. I love the things that you do because that is something that I could not do. I think it would hurt my head too much. I have to go to almost not thinking mode when I'm in bed.
Well, and I think where it comes from is that how we were talking about, like, you need these signals to shut your brain down, because otherwise you're going to ruminate about that conversation, or dang it, I really meant to do this today and I didn't get it done. And like, that's what keeps a lot of people from getting a good night's sleep, is because of all of that chatter in your brain. So by going through and giving it something to focus on that's mundane and boring, like the parts of a car, it really kind of helps shift what your brain is focusing on, so you get out of that pattern of rumination and beating yourself up and reliving things. So that's where that came from.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think I would just be thinking too hard about, I used to know the state capitals and I can't remember them anymore. And, silly things like that that I get in my head about. But I love your ideas too because we ha- it's good we're giving people several options to choose from.
Yes.
So, and I'm just looking at my notes here. So we did talk about books. I still am a fan of paperback books. So I have several next to my bed, and it just depends on what I want to read. My boyfriend likes graphic novels and magazines, so he's got his own stuff. And I'll read my book until I'm starting to fall asleep a little bit, and then I put it down because what I've also learned is if you keep reading through that sleep, then your brain starts going again. So you need to follow the signal and put it down.
It's actually, it's a 90-second or a 90-minute cycle.
Oh, really?
So I've studied sleep, and if you plow through that point where you're going to fall asleep, if you plow through that, it's going to be another 90 minutes before you can get into a sound sleep. You might fall asleep before then, like on and off, but it's going to be 90 minutes until you actually get into a solid sleep.
Wow, that's so interesting. I didn't know that. That's great information to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, another thing is I like to listen to, I have like a thing that makes a fan noise. It's just a button that I push and I have to have that because I am a light sleeper and any little tiny noise will wake me up. And I know binaural beats are great too if people want to listen to that. And I want to talk now about meditation. So, something that I try to do, and this is an energy healing technique, and we didn't actually talk about this beforehand, so you're in for a surprise, Rebecca. What I try to do most every night, if I remember, is to leave energy that isn't mine behind. So let go of it and clear my own energy. So I'm just going to walk you through a few different things, but this first one is an energy clearing technique that I do. So if you want to close your eyes and we'll just breathe in through the nose, making sure that when we're inhaling, our stomach and lungs expand. And then exhale out through the mouth, making sure that our lungs and our stomach contract. And this is the proper way to breathe. So breathing in through the nose, expand, exhaling out, contract. One more, in through the nose, expand, exhale it out, contract. Now, just starting at the top of your head, let's imagine some sort of golden light washing over your body. So if you're in bed, you can still imagine that light either above your head or on the top of your head. So, like by your pillow. And we're just going to imagine that golden light washing through your whole body, but also on top of your body. So, through your aura field or your energy fields. So this light just flowing down, now it's liquid light flowing down through your head and through your neck, through your shoulders, through your arms, your forearms, and your hands, flowing out your hands. Continue to feel that liquid light flowing through your head, your neck, your shoulders, through your chest, through your ribs, your stomach, your hips, your legs, your knees, calves, and your feet, and out your feet. Just continue to feel that warming golden light going all the way through you and washing away on the top of your skin as well, any old energy that's not yours, any stagnant energy that is yours that you don't need, and really feel it warming you up and lighting you up. Now, something else you can do while you're in this state of relaxation is you can imagine your every part of your body is smiling. And I know this sounds weird, so let me explain it. And this is something that Tara Brach does in a lot of her meditations, and it really does make a difference. I'm just going to walk you through. So if you imagine that you have a smile on your forehead, just imagine, lips parted, smiling on your forehead, and let that relax. Now do it in between your eyebrows, put a smile there, relaxing that crease, that furrowing of the brow. Now imagine it over each of your cheekbones, over your nose. Now imagine the smile over your mouth. And you can lose the smile every point in your body. We're just putting a smile there and letting it go. So really clearing the jaw up there, that's where I hold the most tension. So feel that smile through the jaw. Now feel it in your throat. Smile through your chest all the way to your shoulders and feel those relax. Smile through your heart center, your ribs. Smile through your stomach and your intestines. Maybe put a smile on each of your knees and at the bottoms of your feet. So that's kind of a weird one, but I like that. It does just kind of make you relax, and it's like a happy energy, which I like. So this is another one that actually just kind of came to me today. So close your eyes again. There's a
Oh,
couple.
wait.
Oh, go
Can I
ahead.
address that one for a second?
Yeah.
This is actually not just for going to bed, but this is, when you're about to go into a stressful situation like speaking, or you're going into a stressful meeting or something, they talk about just like slowly upturning
Mhm.
the corners of your mouth so that you're smiling. I like yours better because like you can't help but smile by doing that
Yeah.
exercise and just feeling a different energy. So that's a great example. I'm going to use that at other times of the day.
Good. And like I said, I can't take credit for it. It's Tara Brach, but I do like this concept of feeling that smile and seeing it all through you. And actually, when I've been doing Reiki for people, if I sense a part of them is not super happy, I'll put a smile, like a smile symbol through that area. And I do feel it lightening up and opening it up. It's kind of cool. So this next one, close your eyes for just a moment. This came to me today in a vision, and the information is pretty simple. Find yourself going towards a body of water, like a beach or a lake, somewhere that you love to go. And just put yourself into the shallow part of the water and let yourself go limp into the water. Just feel that in your whole body. Just let yourself go totally limp. Like the water is holding you. And just feel yourself there for a moment. And if you're like me, your jaws are still not relaxed, so let those go limp too. Anywhere else in your body where you still feel tension, allow that to relax. Sometimes even our tongue needs to relax. I got so relaxed I started coughing. So, do you feel that? Like the stress kind of melts away?
It does.
And that I feel like that one's a really good one. And then the other one I'll walk you through quickly is close your eyes again. I love to visualize a place that feels very peaceful to me. And so there's several for me, but I'll take you to the beach because my place of peace is on Lake Michigan, on the beach, in the sun. Yours may be different, but let's just visualize you're sitting on the beach with a beach towel. It's 80 degrees outside or whatever is a good temperature for you. You're laying on this towel or you're sitting on the towel and you're looking out over the ocean or the lake. You feel the warm breeze, the warm sun. You see the blue sky, the clouds, the water. You hear the waves and the wind, maybe seagulls. You feel the sand underneath you, supporting you. Maybe you smell the ocean air or the lake air. And you're completely at peace here. You know nobody's around you. Everything's going to be okay. And sometimes I do put little sentry guards around me in case I don't feel super safe. And that does help me to calm down. But just know this beach is your personal beach. You're safe here. And just lay here or sit here, or you can even go put yourself in the water and just put a floaty down and sit on the water, lay on the water, and feel that support of the water underneath you. You can also, instead of this, put yourself by a campfire in the woods. You can put yourself in by your favorite fireplace, somewhere that makes you feel calm, safe, peaceful, like there's nothing to worry about. My favorite places are, of course, in nature, but you may not be a nature person. You may have somewhere else that is your place of peace. But wherever it is, this I have found has really helped me to let go and fall asleep because I'm in my peaceful place.
Yeah, I like that.
I know you have another one too.
I do. And this one I use mainly for those times when we do wake up in the middle of the night for whatever reason. And I will get into my comfortable position and paying attention to where my breath is because I want to, where am I feeling it? So, as you pointed out, in your stomach or ribs. And as I am breathing in, I'm breathing in my brain, I'm saying peaceful. And then when I breathe out, I am breathing out, letting it go, relaxation. And most of the time, when I do that, letting go, I actually start feeling myself sinking more into the pillow or to the bed. And I just keep repeating that over and over again. And it's crazy. It's like, I don't know, maybe three, four, 5 times of repeating that. The alarm goes off in the morning, or I wake up and it's 7 o'clock. So just something to help. It's a simple one. I love your envisioning the safe places and the places that make you happy. That definitely is good too. And maybe it's doing that while you're saying peaceful and relax. So anyway, we hope that all of these, any or all of these, will help you have a fantastic good night's sleep. And sometimes you got it, just like any other habit, you got to keep it going and just keep trying and trying and trying and doing it over and over again. And hopefully you'll get to a point where you are sleeping soundly for, maybe 25 out of 30 nights a month. Wouldn't that be good? Anyway, thanks for listening to us and have a great day.
Yeah. And actually, before we get off, I do want to say if you're not sleeping well and you're trying all these things, come talk to us because one, you may
Oh,
need a Reiki session, or you may need a clearing, or you may need, to work through some mindset stuff that's causing burnout, anxiety, etc. So come chat with us if you try these and they don't work. But now we'll say thank you and have a great rest of your day.